Today I just want to show several different brands of metallic watercolors. All of these brands being of the higher end or medium quality. They're all brands that I have used pretty extensively in some cases. Others I've just started to use. But I wanted to show these to you and also show you a few of the things that you can do with metallic watercolors. Because, you know, a lot of folks say, oh, well, they're really beautiful, but what do you do with them? So the first brand I'm going to show you, these come in a round little tray that you can snap in and out, arrange them any way you like. And the brand is Coliro. These are a bit expensive, not too much so. You can often find them on a flash sale or on a discount sale on Amazon, which is when cheap me usually waits until I buy them. But they're a really nice metallic watercolor. They respond well to a brush. They have really great pigment. And what's interesting about these is that they look very similar to another high-end brand, Finetech. In fact, I would say that Finetech is probably one of the best brands of metallic watercolors out there. Now this is the Finetech interference color set, and you can see it has a very similar patterning of the way that they stamp the colors so that they kind of look wavy. Now their other sets, their larger sets, are actually round exactly like these. So you can see that the pattern on them looks almost identical. Now that's where, at least for me, the similarity ends. Yes, they look almost identical, but the performance of the Finetech is noticeably better than the Coliro. Not, you know, anything to cry about, but if I had a choice, I would rather go with the Finetech because they are a richer color, and they're just much more responsive to the brush, and just prefer them. Now there are also metallic watercolors that you can get individually, and this is the Jack Richardson semi-moist metallic watercolor, and these actually come in a rather large pan. It's 10 grams, they say. What are nice about these is if you are going to be doing a large wash with watercolor, these bigger pans are simply wonderful. Now the one thing I don't like about them, and I left this one attached like this so you can see, is they come in this clamshell, and it's great for storage, but you either want to take your paint tray out of it, or what I do is I just cut that lid off so I can leave the paint tray in there, and then when I'm done I can just snap it back on. Now these are a very rich color as well. I would actually say that they are close to the quality of the Finetech, and I do use them quite a lot whenever I want to do a wash. For instance, let me show you here. A lot of folks don't realize you can actually use watercolor on canvas panels, and this was a wash that I did with one of the Jack Richardson's colors. And, you know, with a pan being big like that, it's much easier to lay down a wash on your canvas panel. Now, this is a brand that is from Japan. It is from Boku Undo Company Limited. And like most Japanese watercolors, they come in these really nice little square pans. And they are a bit more opaque, just as other Japanese watercolors are. And the interesting thing about these, and this of course is their interference color set, and I'll show you what interference colors do in just a moment. But what's interesting about these, and I just started to use this set of the solid colors, these pans really drink up the water. Normally I can spray, you know, something like one of these, and it'll form a puddle on there, and it'll last a good while. You spray one of these and you get a puddle of color, and the next thing you know, it's sucked right up into the pan. So, you know, I get the feeling these are going to last a really long time because of that, because they're just very highly pigmented. And those, again, I would say they come close to Finetec in quality as well. Now, this is a set that I just recently got to try. It is CSY Art Gallery, and these are handmade in Germany. They're made with honey, and when they come, each of the little half pans is individually wrapped. And some of the colors in this are rather unique. I've been enjoying working with them. Now, the one thing to know with these is because they are formulated with honey, they do produce a very thick paint. You know, you really have a lot of options with this, where you can either lay it on extremely thick to where it even has texture, or you can thin it down into a very nice wash. And these actually, I would compare their quality to the Finetec, with just the difference being that they, you know, obviously they have honey in them. They are a little bit thicker, a little bit stickier, I guess you could say, but they are a very nice watercolor. And then this is a set that's available from Mozart on Amazon. And they are, you know, very similar to the Japanese watercolors, but they are made in China. And they each come in their individual pans. And they're a nice watercolor. I would say that they are more aligned with the medium quality. They're not, you know, exactly 100% high end. You do have to work these a little bit more to get a richer color, but they are perfectly acceptable. And then these are St. Petersburg's, and these are full pan. These are a very rich watercolor as well. And I would say that they are definitely in line with the quality of Finetec, maybe even just slightly better, for the fact that they are a full pan. They are formulated to be more of a professional watercolor that could be intermixed much more easily with all of the other colors that are in the St. Petersburg line of watercolors. And then this is actually the least expensive. Cats. When you have cats, you get cat hair on everything. Just FYI. But these are one of the least expensive sets. And I got these on Amazon some time ago. I think they were only like $12 or $13 at that time. And these come in a round pan. A lot of folks, I've seen reviews on Amazon saying, oh, these pans they aren't very full at all, you know, I got ripped off. Quite frankly, the way that you use metallic watercolors, at least the way that I use them, there's plenty enough paint in here. Now these, as I said, these are probably the lowest quality that I'll show you here today. And I simply say that because, not because they're not useful, not because they're not good for what they do, but, you know, their pigment load is not as high as the other colors. And they actually have two different sets with this one. And let's see, I don't think it actually gives the set name on here. It did on Amazon, but then their other set is their lighter color set, which has a lot of the interference colors in it. And then no review of metallic watercolors would be complete if we didn't show you the Paul Rubens, which these are very expensive on Amazon. Again, cheapskate that I am, I got them when they had a sale. These are half pans, and they are wonderful. They compare to the Finetech. You know, I can't recommend these highly enough. I really like these. But interestingly enough, a little bit lower price point are the Artsy, and as you can see, they look very similar, and colors are very similar. This one's still wet because I was using it a little bit ago. They're not quite as good as the Paul Rubens. Their pigment load is a little bit less, but these are perfectly acceptable if you want a nice set and you're on a bit of a budget. So now let me show you some of the things you can use them for. Now I've already shown you you know, how I use them on canvas. Now this is just a sample card on white paper, and as you can see, the colors are you know, they're nice, they're pretty shiny. These right here are interference colors, as are these up here, and you can see that the interference colors, they're rather light on the white paper, and you can see that there is a color to them if you tilt them around. But the best way to use interference colors is on black watercolor paper. Now again, this has many different brands showcased on here, but these right here and this are the same interference colors that on the white paper you could barely see them, and on here you can see that they have a much richer color. And again, here are some interference colors here and here, and this one as well, and you can see that they get a much richer color. Although honestly, metallic watercolors, it's almost impossible to show you just how beautiful they are on a camera. You really need to see them in person. For example, right here, this interference color is one of the Finetech flip-flop colors. So I don't think it's catching it on the camera, but this goes from a really rich deep purple to sort of a bluish, a dark bluish color. Now, one of the things that I use the metallic watercolors for are if you're making a gift tag, or you know, something you're going to include in a gift. I just use the brush to lay a little bit of color on those edges and just give it a little bit extra pizzazz, and then you can just write your message on there. I also like just playing around on the black paper with them. You can get some pretty cool looking beetles, which beetles normally are very colorful, and again, it is so hard to show you just how wonderful these colors are on camera. Another thing that you can use metallic watercolors for is just to add a little bit of sparkle to your crepe paper flowers. But my absolute favorite thing to do with the metallic watercolors is I will go ahead and I'll stamp butterflies and emboss them on a good thick cardstock, and then you go back in with your metallic watercolors and you color those butterflies in, and they come out absolutely gorgeous. And then you can go in and very carefully cut these butterflies out. Now, the antennas, just don't even try to cut around those, just add antennas after the fact. But you can cut these out and then use these to put on your cards that you're making. You can use them on, you know, gifts that you've wrapped up. But it's just, they come out absolutely gorgeous with the metallic watercolors. Now, one word of warning, metallic watercolor, like every other watercolor, if you get this wet, it's going to run all over the place and your work will be ruined. So you are going to want to put some type of fixative on these. I'm trying to think what the name of it is. I believe it's Borland's wax is one that I use because it does not smudge watercolors, but there are a lot of other fixatives out there as well. So this was a very short video, but hopefully this will help you to see that the metallic watercolors can be used for a lot of fun things. You can use them in so many different ways, much more than what I showed here. And hopefully getting to see some of these various brands will have given you an opportunity to decide, you know, which brand you yourself may want to try in the future.